I'd like to welcome everyone to the Emmaus Borough Council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to state for the record, Councilwoman McManaman will be absent for this meeting. Personal appeals part 1. If you have a personal appeal, please approach the podium, sign in, state your name, and you have 5 minutes for your appeal. Anybody? Hearing none. Community minute. Does anyone have a community minute to bring forward tonight?
I'll just throw a couple out there. Around town, you'll see some baseball and softball games being played down at Community Park. I know the Emmaus High School JV team is playing some games, and down at the Williams and Kiwanis Street, the varsity and JV teams are playing. So you have some local sports being out there. If you're by, stop by and see a game.
They're pretty good this year, too. I had a couple close losses. Anything else?
I have something.
Okay.
We received a check from what we'll call an anonymous donor today for the amount of $52,050. The individual is donating that amount to the Emmaus Ambulance for an automatic lift for the ambulance.
You just say 52,000.
52,000. If and when everything goes through,
That's awesome.
and if this individual wants to be made public, we will do a presentation at Borough Council. But we received the check for $52,050. I know that at least 1 or 2 councilmen have said, is it a real check? Was it, written by Daffy Duck?
That's not the
We're
big
being told and assured that it is indeed a very real check. And I'll let you know if it doesn't go through. The Bugs Bunny signature on it looks authentic. No, but in all reality, we're very excited about it. This individual wanted to do what they could to help the ambulance department and donate in a way that he thought could make a difference. And we're very thankful for that. So hopefully he or she would be willing to allow us to thank them in public, because this is significant for us. And this is something that the ambulance department asked for in the budget this past year, and we were unable to fund. They applied for a grant last year and it was denied. We applied for a grant again this year. Haven't heard back on it yet, but this is something that we think is very important to that department. So we're very excited about this, obviously. So
Mr. Pepe, being that it's April 1st, that is not an April Fool, right? Just checking.
there's too many people in here for me to comment to you the way I want to.
Really, that's a magnificent gift.
Anything else?
That's all. That's because what was going through my mind, Mr. Anders, is not what I'm.
Well, I wish we could have that every community minute, but that's probably once in a lifetime, so very appreciative of that. All right, very, very exciting presentations tonight. We have 3 special presentations, and we're going to start with the Emmaus Kiwanis Club, and I'd like to call Chief Jeff Hoffman up here. I'm sorry, and Lieutenant's here.
This Lieutenant Craig Duffy with the Ambulance Corps. We asked the Emmaus Kiwanis Club here tonight because they very generously donated us funds to purchase a training mannequin. Our department in the last 5 years has committed to really doing a lot of additional training, getting our paramedics and EMTs up on the latest technology and skills. And when the Kiwanis Club asked what we needed, Lieutenant Duffy's our training officer. First thing we came up with was this training mannequin. Now it is kind of small, and we'll kind of explain what it does. So Last year, Pennsylvania approved for paramedics to do what's called a surgical airway, or surgical cricothyroidotomy, very long word. Basically means for the worst of the worst cases, when we cannot open somebody's airway, we can do an emergency skill to open their airway using a surgical technique. Last week, our medical director physicians held classes to teach us this skill, and with the help of the mannequin that the Kiwanis purchased for us, we're able to practice this skill. There's obviously some of these things you just can't do on a live person for obvious reasons. So a lot of these training mannequins are expensive, and we can't necessarily afford them in our operating budget. So I'd like to ask the members of the Manus Kiwanis Club to come front, just so we can thank them. And there are, the company that makes this, they have different anatomies for adults and for children for us to practice.
Photo op. One smile.
So just for the record, the cost of the training mannequin was just under $1,000. It is something that's going to be important to us for our paramedics to train on, to practice this skill on a regular basis. And we do this under the direction of our medical director physician. And like I said, some of these cases are the really bad, difficult airway scenarios that we get into. And without this mannequin, it would just be really hard to practice. So we really appreciate your generous donation.
You don't get too many volunteers, so it's good to have a man.
Nobody's offering.
Yeah. So, does anybody have any questions for us?
We thank you for the work that you do, and we're thrilled that we were able to help out in some way.
Yeah. And one other thing, Ricky had invited me a few weeks ago to speak at one of the Kiwanis meetings. I had the opportunity to speak, to do a presentation, half an hour long, on the heroin and opium epidemic and how it's affecting us locally. So we were able to present that information to them. So.
And that was not only Emmaus, but we had Allentown Kiwanis Clubs also
Yeah.
represented at that meeting.
So we're happy to be able to work together with them. And, you have anything, Craig?
Thank you.
And thank you.
On behalf of the Borough Council, thank you very much. That's $53,000.
Yeah.
That's $53,000 now for the ambulance. Anybody else?
Pony on up.
That is a nice gift. I always wondered why they didn't do that. I mean, if somebody was dying and I couldn't clear your, I'd take a knife and go in there. I know, you gotta count exactly where you are. Poke that hole, and you gotta poke it.
All right, another exciting moment tonight. Well, I'd like to call Deputy Director Oath of Service, Keith Miller, who's going to get sworn in tonight by Madam Mayor.
Would his wife Melissa also be able to come up?
Sure.
You should just, Shane, why don't you just stay up there? Why don't you take your seat right there?
I will give you a copy.
Right here.
Okay. Everybody ready? All right. Keith, raise your right hand. I, Keith Andrew Miller, do hereby declare
I, Keith Andrew Miller, do hereby declare
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the people that I serve with respect and professionalism,
and the people I serve with respect and professionalism,
that as Deputy Director of Emergency Services of the Borough of Emmaus,
that as Deputy Director of the Emergency Services of the Borough of Emmaus,
my fundamental duty is to serve the people.
my fundamental duty is to serve the people.
I swear to protect, safeguard, and preserve life,
I swear to protect, safeguard, and preserve life,
health, and property against fire and other perils.
health, and property against fire and other perils.
I will always act in good faith for the benefit of those I serve.
I will always act in good faith for the benefit of those I serve.
I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith
I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of the public's faith,
and trust in me and pledge to remain true to the ethics of my office.
and trust in me and pledge to remain true to the ethics of my office.
Very good. Congratulations.
Listen, little kid put his badge on his coat.
We have paramedics in case he gets stabbed.
There you go.
Two places, there and there.
Can't be all that bad. Same middle name as I have.
Very good.
Congratulations. Thank you.
That's it, thank you.
And welcome. Doctor. Very good job of putting that badge on there. It's on a straight and everything.
All right, continuing with our special presentations, we have a recognition award. I'd like to call Kara Beery and Keatley Hamill and Chief John Price front and center.
And Hoffman.
And Chief Hoffman.
We're here tonight because in the evening of March 14th, a couple weeks back, the ambulance was dispatched to an address in the borough, and paramedic Hamill and paramedic Lieutenant Beery went to the scene, loaded the patient, called for the fire department because they needed a driver for the ambulance, and while they were en route to Lehigh Valley Hospital Center, delivered a baby girl. This is such a rare event that these medics were so used to dealing with people near the end of life scenarios, and it's so rare that we get to be present in the beginning of life. And in my 40 years in EMS, it's something I have yet to participate in. So with that, we have your stork pins. There is one pin for your everyday uniform, for a collar, and there's also an award ribbon for your dress uniforms. And Jeff has certificates.
That's for you. Shift it on. There you go. Certificate of Achievement for delivering baby.
That's nice. I didn't know they made stores. Learn something every day. Huh? He did? Hard? Uh-oh.
All right, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. If you don't want to stay, you're more than welcome to leave also.
We're not offended.
But it will be a quick meeting. All right, moving on to reading of the minutes. Would somebody like to make a motion to pass the council meeting minutes of March 18th, 2019? Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilman Schubsta. Any questions or discussion or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. We have no decisions on bids. We have some communications. We had Jonathan Flieger requesting a waiver for the use of the Arts Pavilion for a memorial event, October 5th. That's going to be referred to Parks and Recreation Committee. We received a letter from David Wyman requesting reappointment to the Planning Commission. That was addressed at, which committee was that? Health, Sanitation, and Codes Committee. And,
No, that wasn't addressed.
No, it wasn't addressed.
well, it's listed under there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he would be reappointed, so we would just.
So would somebody like to make a motion to reappoint David Weeman to the Planning Commission with the term expiring April 1st, 2023? Councilman Schubsta, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. We received a letter, or no, not a letter. We interviewed Justin Gifford for appointment to the Emmaus Library Board of Trustees. We did that in the General Administration Committee. Would somebody like to make a motion to appoint Justin Gifford? And his term is to expire January 1st of 2022. Councilman Dufresne, second by Councilman Hart. Questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. We received 3 communications from Kathy Minzer from the Recreation and Entertainment Commission. First one is a request for approval for the 40th anniversary party, a summer concert series event on June 2nd, 2019 at the community park. Basically, need a motion from somebody to allow them the use of the park. What is it, from like 12 to 8? We'll say 12 to 8. I'm sure there's setup time and tear down time also, but would somebody like to make the motion? Councilwoman Baumgartner, second by Councilman Anders. Questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. Also, she requested approval for Movies Under the Stars for June 21st, July 19th, and August 16th at the community park. This will be handled by staff, as this has been a yearly event for several years now. Also, request approval for a cruising car show event, August 25th, and that's at community park also. We'll let staff handle that also, as that has been done in the past. There's no borough engineer's report, solicitor's report.
Very briefly, I prepared at the manager's request a memorandum on donations of what's allowed by the law and what isn't. I wanted to point out to you that I was talking both cash and in kind, and it's really in depth. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. I don't bill you for every call, so if you feel so inclined and want to call me about something, I'm more
You said
than...
not every call, so how do we know which calls?
It depends on my mood and how much time you take. But that's the way it's been done in the past for me. But I did want to point this out to you. We charge permit fees for many things. Permit fees are different than donations. So permit fees have a different standard. Donations are only allowed if authorized by law. Permit fees only have to be reasonably related to whatever your goal is. And the courts will virtually never overturn a permit fee. So if you set a permit fee for charities of some form, but it has to be uniform, you may do so, and that may be at a substantially lower rate than what you would have a permit fee for me coming from out of town, or even someone who is a resident of the borough. So there are other ways to approach this problem. That's all I'm just pointing out to you, rather than just looking at donations. And that's all I have to report.
So,
But Gen Ed should probably deal with it in general too. I would say, let's send it to Parks and Rec because they started the conversation.
all right, so we're going to send this memorandum to Parks and Rec to discuss permit fees and just the basis of the overall.
Yeah, just because the conversation started there, and I know that we have a couple items that are being requested in that.
Okay.
I think it'll probably ultimately be sent over to Gen Ed to discuss, and then probably, if we talk about fee schedules, probably
Budget and
ends up
finance.
in Budget and Finance at some point too.
Okay.
So you all get to see it at some point.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Solicitor.
Thank you.
Unfinished business part 1, we have nothing. New business, we have nothing. Unfinished business part 2, we have 2 ordinances, 1188 and 1189, that will be having their second reading at our next council meeting, which is April 15th. So be prepared to discuss those. Items not on the agenda. Does anyone have anything to bring forward? Mayor's report.
Thank you. I have one item, not nearly as exciting as the ambulance corps, but anyway, I have a copy of a letter that was sent to Chief Palmer. It says, "Dear Chief Palmer, on behalf of myself and our staff, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to meet and speak to everyone at the company's monthly safety meeting. I believe it's valuable for everyone to hear different perspectives as workplace safety, and yours was much appreciated. Enclosed is a donation to the Emmaus Police Department K-9 unit. It's a small token of gratitude we feel to the brave men and women of the Emmaus Police Department." That was a $250 donation that he received. He attended one of their monthly meetings. He listened to their safety program, and at the end of it, he basically critiqued it and just talked a little bit briefly about safety issues with them. So that was George Reitz, president from American Millwork and Cabinetry. Other than that, I'll report progress.
Mayor, I also want to thank your department for conducting the active shooter training to all of our staff. I think that was very valuable to them. So thank you
Good.
and
You're
the
welcome.
department for that.
I will pass that on.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Progress.
Committee reports. Public Works Committee Chairman, I lost it, Anders.
Nothing for official action this evening. Our next meeting is April 10th. However, we have interviews starting at 3 p.m. on that day. And
That's
I'll
right.
report progress.
Thank you. Health, Sanitation, and Codes Committee Chairman Schupsta.
We took care of the reappointment, and we have our second reading on the 15th for the ordinance. And our committee notes are there, so we have nothing for official action. Except-
Just 1 second, Mr. Shufsa. So that committee, we decided to make
Yeah, I
a
was gonna
change
ask that
for the
question.
size of the garbage cans.
Yes,
Should we
I
have-
saw that.
Should we
for
have
now.
them make the formal motion here?
I would.
So,
Okay. All right, I wasn't sure I was gonna ask you that question. All right, so at our committee meeting, we
96.
discussed the ordinance and in regards to the maximum size that the containers can be. We had recommended that it be a 50-gallon, but after numerous emails and contacts that we had, and then going out to some of the neighborhoods, we noticed that a lot of people still have the 96-gallon containers. So we made a motion to amend the ordinance to a 96-gallon
Can you place that in the form
So
of
I'll
a
place
motion?
that in the form of a motion. Yep.
Seconded by Councilman Anders. Questions or discussion? I just want to say that I thought I had a 96-gallon. I went home and looked, and it's actually 64, so I can only imagine how big 96 is. I mean, you
So
could probably
ask
put
him.
a small car in it or
we have a
something.
photo of Roy
So
inside.
I have a 96, and after the ordinance and people sent some, communications, I looked at mine because I wasn't sure what the size was. I'm like, oh. So I was one of those. I will say I have watched him, They do dump it each and every week, so the trash company is able to handle it from what I could see.
Well, my communications with them as well was that if it's too heavy, they'll just pull the bags out
Yeah.
of the can.
Pull them out and then dump it, whatever's left. Yep. And I noticed a lot of the residential areas, especially near the high school, have them.
Any other comments?
Nope.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes.
Okay.
Progress?
Yep, progress. So our next meeting is scheduled for April 24th at 4:30 PM.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Committee, Chairwoman Baumgartner.
We have not met since our last council meeting, so we have nothing for official action. We do meet tomorrow, April 2nd at 4:30 right here. Progress.
You have homework.
Yes.
Public Safety Committee, Chairman DeFane.
Nothing for official action here. Our next meeting is April 10th at 9:15 a.m. Progress.
Thank you. General Administration Committee is myself. We have 2 more appointments to do. We have an appointment for Michael Gibson as a Southwest Comprehensive Plan Committee member. There's no term on this, and I believe they meet quarterly, so would somebody like to place that in a form of a motion? Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. And then there's also an alternate in case Michael can't make it, and the alternate would be Brent Stringfellow. So would somebody like to make a motion for that? Councilwoman Baumgartner, seconded by Councilman Dufresne. Questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes. I think there were 3 pages of committee meeting notes, if you have any questions. If not, our next meeting is next Thursday at 9 here in council chambers. Progress. Budget and Finance Committee, Chairman Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 orders of business from the meeting previous to council this evening. The first being Resolution 2019-14, which is the bill list for the month ending April 1st. I need a motion for approval. So moved.
So moved by Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilman Dufresne. Any questions on the bill list? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes.
The second matter for consideration is the acquisition of a vehicle, to move forward with the acquisition of a vehicle for either a lease with a maximum of $3,000 down payment and a $200 a month fee for a maximum of 3 years, or the purchase of a $10,200 used vehicle for our zoning officer.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Councilman Dufresne, questions or discussion? Well, before you ask a question, just to fill you in, the vehicle that he had all kinds of electronic problems, and it got to the point. As you know, the zoning officer always gets the last of the last vehicles in the borough, so he gets all the hand-me-downs.
He gets the police vehicles that the Public Works Department doesn't want.
Correct. So finally, he has one that's totally shot, so we're going through with actually giving a vehicle that is not going to break down.
At the very tail end of his career, we're finally going to give him.
And this will be coming out of his budget.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
You got everything I wanted to.
Thank you. Anybody else? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 6 ayes.
Our next meeting is April 11th at 11 a.m. I'll report progress.
Thank you. Community Relations Planning and Development Committee, Chairwoman McManaman is not here. Does Councilman Hart or Councilman Shipsta have anything to say in their absence?
You
didn't have a
we have
meeting, I
a
see.
meeting scheduled and for April 18th. It's at 4:30. I know that we're going through getting the new website completed, getting the content, getting the images and things of that nature. So
And
Okay.
I believe we're also getting feedback from the individual departments regarding the areas that
Okay.
are appearing there.
yep.
Great. Looking forward to hearing from the results there. Junior Council Members Report. Junior Councilman Hausman.
Thank you. March 23rd was Regionals for History Day, and 6 students from Emmaus made it to states. No Place for Hate has a speaker coming to Emmaus High School on Wednesday. Then for chorus, orchestra, and band, all states will be on April 3rd to April 6th, which will include action on Wednesday, April 10th, which in there they let students talk about issues they want to discuss, and it registers students who are old enough, they get registered to vote. Tomorrow, lacrosse teams are facing off against Northampton and Freedom High School. Track faces off against Whitehall. Volleyball teams face Parkland. Boys tennis faces against Whitehall. Baseball teams face against Whitehall. Softball faces off against Whitehall. And Brendan McCourt is the Morning Calls Boys Swimmer of the Year, along with the boys and girls swimming teams are the Morning Calls Swim Team of the Year. I report progress.
Thank you, Jonas. I notice your reports are getting longer. But thank you, informative, thank you. You have various boards and commission meeting minutes here, 4 sets, to keep you updated on those various committees and commissions. Personal appeals part 2, does anybody have an appeal to make? Hearing none. Borough Manager's report.
I'm so used to saying the revenue and expense report is in your binder, but it's not.
Well, you only had 7 years of doing that.
Yeah, I know. So we went through the charger, conducted Public Works interviews last week. The Public Works Committee will see 6 very highly qualified individuals in front of them. We reviewed paramedic applications today. We received 12. We're interviewing 4. That was again. I tell you this every year. It seems it's not a great pool. So we're hoping that we have the guy or girl out of that list of 4. Solicitor interviews are at the Gen Ad meeting coming up, and I think paramedic interviews start next week. And whatever the list is after that, I think I gave you the whole slew. But pretty soon, I hope these interviews will start slowing down. But we are very excited about the Public Works interviews next week. I think the committee will be pleasantly surprised of the quality that we're getting, and that's great news, because I don't think we can go wrong with any of the 6 individuals that you guys are interviewing. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, I think that'll do it for me.
Just one quick question for you, Shane. I noticed the culvert bill earlier in the budget finance. Are we paid totally out of that? Is that we're totally done, or is there
No.
more still coming in?
There's some money that is set in reserves for some final work that they have to do in spring, yard cleanup of the property that's adjacent to the culvert, some things that you can't do in the wintertime. So I think it's like up to $12,000, I think is the maximum, but overall,
It's pretty much.
the $450,000 is paid.
Right.
We have filed for the reimbursement on the grant, so we should be seeing that in the next 4 to 5 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? All right, progress.
All right, President's business, I have nothing unless somebody wants to ask me something. If not, motion to adjourn. Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilman Dufresne. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Meeting adjourned at 7:34, 5. We'll go 5. I got a glare on the clock.